Welcome to the In Her Skein Knitting Podcast. My name is Marie-Ève and I'm coming to you from the northeastern part of Italy. I haven't filmed an episode in a while, so I feel a little bit rusty. Let's see what happens. I do have a few projects to share, what I've been working on mostly, and also a very special project to come, for which I've done many swatches, and I'll show that to you today. So I'll start with what I'm wearing. This is the Juno Top by Ines Oliveira, a vert knit or vert knit, and I honestly don't remember where I was with this project the last time I was on here. If I remember correctly, I only had like a small part done. So now I have finished it. I'm very happy with the finished object, but there's a lot of things that I didn't do correctly. I mean, one big thing that like I messed up from reading the pattern wrong. And the other thing, the other more like negative side, I guess, is the yarn. Like I've worn and washed this top a few times already in the washing machine because it's cotton. And maybe I should not be doing that. Maybe I should be still washing it by hand because I can see that there's like a little bit of like wear and tear already. Yeah, the yarn is not wearing well, I guess. So yeah, but I'm still very happy with the finished object. In the pattern, I think there's like 4 different versions that you can choose from. I did the tank version, the one with the straps, because all the 3 other versions are strapless, or some have like a little sleeve. But I did the one with the straps and with the scalloped crochet edge all around. And what else can I say? Yeah, the part that I messed up in the pattern is for the bust darts. I don't know if you'll be able to tell, but they're like this wide. And I think that for the tank top version, there's supposed to be more short row shaping in the bust area, versus for the other 3 versions that are designed to be more tightly fitting, there's less of these short rows. And basically the way that the pattern is written, it's like written for the 3 versions, and then the tank modification is like at the end. And so, and I understand why it's written this way, but I think that I struggle with patterns like this personally, because it's hard to keep track of where you are. Because, for example, for the tank version, you need to cast on more stitches, I think, if I remember correctly, than the other versions for the same size. And so it tells you like cast on this many stitches instead of the ones recommended earlier in the pattern, and then follow until you reach like this part, and then once you reach that part, then go back at the end of the pattern to see where you are. And so I think I got confused that way, but it's entirely my fault. But either way, I mean, the bust shaping basically like raises the neckline and gives you more space for this area. And I'm not very voluminous here anyway, so I think it looks a bit strange, but it doesn't feel strange like when I wear it. So overall, I think it ended up fine. The other thing is that I followed in part the tank version because I was using a cotton yarn, and she recommends that for the more form-fitting versions, that you use something that has memory, like a wool yarn, versus if you're doing the tank that is supposed to be a bit more flowy, you should go with a what's the word that I'm looking for? Silk, cotton, protein fiber, not animal fiber. And that's what I did, but I think that's probably because of my gauge is a bit tighter. Like the fabric doesn't want to stay unstretched it wants to, because it's like a ribbed pattern. So my fabric tends to want to cinch in, which is not what I was expecting. Anyways, all in all, I enjoy the finished version. And the yarn that I used is this one, the DMC Eco Vita. And I really like the color, but again, I'm not sure if it's going to wear well in time, but let's see. All right, and then the next thing, I think I had just started it in the previous episode. It's my darling, it's supposed to be a dress, but mine is a top, or will be. I am here now, just because I had 3 balls of this yarn and I wanted to make a tank instead. I think it's a bit more versatile for my wardrobe. I have a lot of dresses for the summer, but less like tanks like this. So I made one, now I'm making the second one. And I'm almost done, honestly. I think maybe I need to knit another like centimeter or 2, and then I can bind off. I did do a few modifications for this top. So first off, I'll show you the construction a little bit. So basically you start with knitting these straps. So you knit both of them, and then you block them. You make sure that they are the correct length for your size. And then, if I remember correctly, you join the 2 at the front, because the front is a bit higher than the back here, like this. So you work back and forth here while making increases for the armhole, and then you join everything here and then just working around. And basically I did 2 modifications. The first one is in the strap, because I was working this off gauge. I think that the gauge for the pattern is 23 stitches per how many rows, I don't remember. But I didn't have, so on 3mm needles, which is the recommended needle size, I was getting 28 stitches. And I really liked the fabric, so it's not too see-through, and it was working up well. So I didn't want to go up potentially 2-3 needle sizes to get that 23 stitch gauge, where I was at like 28, or I am at 28. So I decided to, I think I cast on a size or 2 bigger to get my recommended bust circumference. And yeah, so because I was off gauge, my row gauge was obviously off too. And so if I was working, sorry, the lighting is already bad. If I had worked the recommended number of chart repeats that I had to do, my straps would have been like way too short. So I had to add a few. And then if I was going to add a full repeat, they would have been too long. So I had to like cherry pick a few rows. I don't remember how, it's probably like a 30+ row repeat. So I had to cherry pick a few sections to make sure that the lace was like flowing well into like one section to the other, if that makes sense. Because I don't know if you can see here, but like for example, it goes like out, then in, out, then in. So I had to pick a few rows to come up with this. And so it's not like in the pattern. The pattern is more like what I have here at the back. I have one strap that is blocked, the other not, so I'll show you the one that is blocked. It should look like this at the front as well. But since I had to do the modification, mine looks more like a leaf, which is not ugly, but I prefer the what she has in the pattern, what it's intended to actually look like. But I'm not mad at this, it's fine. So yeah, so that's a modification that I had to do. And then the other thing is, so since it's a dress, I think it's supposed to be like an A-line dress. So after you've worked, I think, a few centimeters under the arm, you're supposed to start increasing to give, I'm assuming, room for the hips. But I didn't do that. I just kept working straight in the round. And now I'm losing stitches. But yeah, this was my stockinette project while we went away for 2 weeks, and so there was a lot of driving and a lot of driving in the mountains, which on the winding roads, stockinette project where I don't have to look at the work is ideal. Otherwise, I get car sick. And yeah, I think that's it for this one. Like I was saying, I just need to work another centimeter or two, and then I can do the bind off. In the dress, there's like a little slit at the front, so I'm obviously gonna omit that part. And then I have to work all around the edges. I think it's probably like a picot bind off from what I can see from the pictures. So it's almost done. And here in Italy, it is still very, very warm. There is no sign of fall. Yeah, I'm struggling a little bit with the heat, but at least this will get, I'm presuming, a lot of wear in the next month or so if I can get it done soon. So at least there's that. And the yarn that I was using is this one, so the cotton Bambulino. It's a mix of cotton, bamboo or viscose, and linen. And I really like it. I think I would use this again. I'm curious to see how it will wear, but yeah, I would buy this again. I really enjoyed knitting with it. All right, and then I have 2 pairs of socks to show. One that is a half finished object, so I have one sock. This one. So this, it's a design of mine that I'm currently writing, so and trying to get to tech editing soon. So if you're interested in testing it, stay tuned, probably on my Instagram, because I probably won't film another episode this soon to do a test call for this one. But basically, I was inspired by a pair of socks that I have from the store that have like this little scalloped edge. I brought one to show you. Like this. I wanted to recreate this look. And I was looking online to see if such socks exist, if someone made a cuff like that before. Just because, I don't know, I'm always scared that like I'll design a sock or a pattern or whatever, and then like it's coming from my mind, but then I'm scared that I'll go on Ravelry after and find like the exact same design. So sometimes I like to cross-check that, like, okay, this doesn't exist, like it's fine. I'm not copying anyone, if that makes sense. And then I also asked my sister what she was thinking of this one, and she was like, oh, I was looking for a sock just like that, and I couldn't find any on Ravelry. So I was like, good. Anyways, so I was looking online, and because I really like scallop everything essentially, and from what I can see, most like scalloped edges, either on socks or on like hems or like button bands or whatnot, they're either made with crochet, like this one, or they, like, for example, I have my tulip sweater that has like the scalloped hem that is made with ribbing. And then you have like a lot of sock patterns will be worked like toe up, and then you have like a lace pattern that like naturally creates scallops once you bind off. And then you also have like the picot edge, but I couldn't find anything like this. So I'm very excited with this cuff. It's basically a folded cuff like this, and it's worked with some short row shaping. and another little manipulation that you need to do to like squish the fabric, the two layers together. And yeah, I started the second sock. You can see that before blocking is not as cute, but after blocking you get this nice little scallop here. And basically at first I thought I was going to use the scuff on a like an all over colorwork sock, and then I started that and it didn't feel right. I think because my color choices were very like summery, but obviously an all over colorwork sock is meant to be worn in the winter, and I didn't know if I would wear that in the winter. I don't know. So I decided to scrap that idea, maybe keep it for later with different colors. And for now, I just decided to do this instead. So this is, for now, I'm calling them the Pointelle socks because it's inspired by the Pointelle fabric, which is basically made with like little eyelets everywhere. Typically, it's more like, I won't say like geometric. I don't know how to pronounce this word in English. um, but yeah, like the shapes are more like strong, angular. Yeah, but those fabrics are often printed with little flowers, so I wanted to kind of do that instead, but with eyelets. So these are little eyelet flowers like this, with just columns of eyelets also on the side and at the toe here, like this. So it's a cuff down sock. It's pretty standard construction, so the cuff is pretty unique. Then you need to work the lace, but the rest is very standard. There's a heel flap and gusset and a regular wedge toe. I was really hesitating with the color of these because I think it's quite, maybe looks a little bit boring. But I really wanted to use this yarn. It's a yarn that my sister brought me from Canada. So it's just this. It's from Old School Acres, and it says grown by Lily. So I think that Lily is the sheep. And so yeah, I thought that was very cute. Basically, when my sister came to visit from Canada, just before she came, she was telling me that she was placing an order at her favorite yarn store, which is Fia Fia in Halifax. And so I said, wait a minute, let me check if they have something that I would be interested in. And so I looked mostly for Canadian wool, and they're based in Nova Scotia. So I think that Old School Acres is also from Nova Scotia. And I was also looking for sock yarns. And so I think I just like typed in sock yarn in the search bar, and this is one that came up. It's 100% wool. It doesn't say anything here, but that's what it said on the website. And it said that the 3-ply yarn, 3-ply fingering in this base would be good for socks because of the way it's plied. And I don't remember the fiber content, like what kind of sheep this comes from, but if I can find it, I'll write it down. But it feels very sturdy. So for a while now, I've been very interested in trying no-nylon, non-superwash sock yarns, and I have had a good experience so far. Yeah, I'm just very interested in that side of the sock knitting world right now. And so I was happy to find this one. And I think that it's probably a combination of the fiber content and the way that it's spun that makes it sturdier for socks. Or so I hope. We shall find out. So yeah, I think that's it for the Pointelle socks. I'm currently working on the second one and I'm writing up the patterns. So if you're interested in a test call. You can follow me on Instagram. I will probably eventually do like a newsletter mailing list type of thing for these things, because I think it's easier. But for now, I typically post my test calls on Instagram, and then I also put like a post in the YouTube community. So that's where you can find those if you are interested. Now I'm like looking at my hair, is like getting more and more fluffy as I speak. It's the humidity. Anyway, and then I think I talked about this pair of socks a while ago, and I said, yeah, like I didn't know what to cast on. I'm casting this on now for my boyfriend, and this was months ago. And I was saying, yeah, I hope that I can get this done on time for his birthday. His birthday was yesterday, and this is the first sock. So I did make some progress on it. I think that I had left it here just before doing the heel. And then I kind of abandoned the project because probably there was some new shiny thing that was more interesting to work with than this. This is very super washy feeling yarn. So one, I don't like how it's working up. Like it just feels very plasticky. Not enjoying that. But I think it will make for a very sturdy sock, which is good for him. And the other thing is that, I think I've mentioned this before, when I make socks for him, I need to cast on like 80, 84 stitches. Otherwise his heel doesn't pass through the leg. And then I can go down to like 70. I don't think I went down to 72. I think I'm down to 74 for the foot. So it's longer than my typical 64 stitch sock that I make for myself. And so it feels just endless. But yeah, maybe for Christmas. Let's see. But yeah, progressing very slowly on that. So that's all I've been working on in terms of like concrete projects for now. The next thing is swatches. I've been doing a lot of swatching for a very special project. So it feels weird even saying it out loud, but I am swatching for my wedding dress. And the thing is that we are getting married soon, but we still don't know when. If you are in a similar situation as me and you and your partner are not from the same country and you're trying to get married in another country, you'll know that it's quite complicated. And so, long story short, we're still waiting to know exactly when we'll be married. And the reason that it might be very rushed is because my parents are visiting in September. So we thought if we can make it for September, let's try to make that happen. And so we're going this week we need to like legalize papers and all of this. And so if we can make it happen, it might happen in as little as 1 month. And at this point, this is my dress. It's just in the swatch stage. So it might be very crazy, but I thought, why not? Like, it's a good opportunity to have fun with a piece of knitwear that, like typically I try to be very conscientious of like, okay, am I going to wear this? Like, is it worth spending the time, the effort, the money to make this nice project? And so I sometimes can be like too intense about these things and maybe not have as much fun in my knitting because I'm thinking of like, oh, I really need like a cardigan. So I typically follow the things that I need in my wardrobe and not the things that are like fun and exciting to do. So I thought I would take the opportunity to make something very exciting and fun, and something that I most likely will only wear once, that is not very useful, but it's gonna be fun. Or that's what I try to tell myself, because I also have the type of personality that I can get quite stressed with these things, like if it's not working out exactly how I want. And so I'm trying to um, go into this project with the mindset of this is going to be fun. I don't want this to be an added stress. I want this to be like the escape to the other stressors that are going on. And so, yeah, every time that I get like, oh no, this is not going to work out, what am I doing? I try to recenter and say, no, this is fun. You're having fun. So, this is what has been happening around here. So, while we were away, I had brought this mohair in this color to swatch for another project. But then I thought, okay, no, the clock is ticking. I need to start to focus on this project and start to swatch. And so I had this mohair lying on hand, and I think I want to use a mohair. I mean, now I have, I think, settled on that at least, that I want to use mohair to do like an over layer, and then I will also sew the under layer of the dress. And so I want something quite sheer and also a bit lacy, but not something too complicated. I even thought of doing just stockinette, like a dress in stockinette stitch all over, but I think that I will be too bored to work on that. Like I need something that happens like every so often. So I wanted to find a very like simple lace pattern. And so the first one that I swatched is one that I think I found like on an Instagram page, where, you know, those pages where they like just share a bunch of swatches. So I saw this one, but in, I don't know if I can show this like properly. Maybe like this, in an open gauge lace weight yarn, so on bigger needles. It doesn't look as nice as this one. And so I decided, I think this was made on 4mm needles, and just look at the top portion, basically the bottom is like, I was trying something else and I don't like it. So this was, and I already have more everywhere. So this was no, but then I thought, because I really like that pattern, it's like fun to work, engaging enough but not too complicated. So I thought, okay, I'll try it with a smaller size needle. Still didn't love this. Like, I think the eyelets are like too spaced out and it looks kind of like butterflies. Not a fan. So next I decided, okay, I have some, because my the plan is to use Knitting for Olive, the soft silk mohair, but then I also had some Knitting for Olive pure silk in my stash, so I decided to swatch with that, which would give a very different look. But just to see, this is what it gives, and I really like it. I think that for a summer top this would be very nice, which I may end up doing eventually. But I think that I'm going for like a more romantic look. Maybe I can put some inspiration pictures. Yeah, I think like with the overlay, I saw one photo from Pinterest, I think, where the bride was wearing like a V-neck underdress situation, and then over she had like a nice like pearl embroidered fabric. So like that type of contrast I like. So something like that. And also this photo also really inspires me. So something, I think I want to try to like recreate the look of Chantilly lace with crochet like on the arms. I'll show you a swatch after. So that's what I'm going for. And so I decided to try this because I thought that the stitch pattern would look better in not emo hair. And I do like it, but I think that it's like too bohemian for me, which I like, but that's not what I'm going for this time. So then I swatched, trying to understand which direction it goes. I think it's like this. This type, I don't know if you're gonna see, maybe if I put it here. This type of lace, which is like eyelets that create little V's like this. And I thought that this one was like knit on too big of a needle, and that there was like too much spacing between the eyelet repeats. So I scrapped this one and swatched to get something more like this. That would also allow me to do like nice increases for the skirt part, because I think that I want something, I don't know exactly yet, but either something that is like if you're doing, for example, like a half circle skirt in sewing, you'll get something that is like very fitted at the waist, and then it like gets bigger and bigger as you go down, kind of like an A-line, but not really, where there's like increases all around the skirt, not just on the two sides. And so this would have allowed me to do that. But then, I don't know, I thought that was kind of underwhelming, and I didn't know if I really liked the like upside down V situation. So I was gonna say I abandoned this idea, but no, because the next swatch is, I think this was all done while we were away, and I didn't have like a lighter silk mohair on hand. And so once we got home, I decided to swatch in like a white color. So the same pattern in white, and I think on smaller needles. And I wasn't a fan either. So then I was kind of, I think, just like mindlessly swatching for like a border, because at that point I thought, okay, maybe I don't want to do all over lace, maybe I just do like borders of lace or eyelets along, and then the rest would be stockinette. So I swatched this. I don't know if you can see anything, but I really liked how this turned out. So then I swatched that pattern with some stockinette on the side, and I did not like this look. So then the next thing that I did was to swatch with this type of pattern, but all over. And I think that this is what I will be going for. Like this, where it's like the pattern is like these little eyelets. So there's 3, 2, 3, and then 3 single ones. And then it's like offset. I guess, if that makes sense. So I think that this is what we're going for. I'm still undecided on a few details. One, the color. I ordered some Knitting for Olive mohair because I always struggle with their colors online. It's very difficult for me to choose the ones that I really want and I'm looking for from the online pictures. So I decided to order 3, and I think that on camera, maybe that's fine. Camera, they don't look exactly the same, which is again why I wanted to order them. But this is cream, this is cloud, and this is powder, I think. Yeah, so I had worked with powder before, and I knew that it was like a pinky beige. And basically when I was doing all these swatches, I thought that something like this is like too white for me. I don't know, I think I want something more blush than white or cream. So yeah, I ordered this one, and on the screen it doesn't look good, but it's like a nice, almost skin toned color, which I think looks good with my skin tone, but here I have them swatched all together. Yeah, maybe you can see the different shades. So like this one is more pink, but I think it's not too pink that like if you see it all over in a dress, I don't think that you're gonna think pink. I think it's more slightly blushy, hopefully. But yeah, so I think I picked the color. Now I need to pick fabric for the underlayer. I originally ordered this one, which was supposed to be like a cream, but it's more like a true white, I think. And so I think that the contrast, here it looks fine. But in real life, I think that the contrast is like too intense. So I also ordered a little swatch from Atelier Brunette, because when I saw this color arrive in the mail, the powder from Knitting for Olive, for some reason I immediately thought of the Atelier Brunette, one of their viscose fabrics. The name is Maple, and I'm pretty sure it's like the same color. So I ordered a tiny sample. Hopefully it arrives soon so I can make decisions on the fabric. But either way, I think that the sewing the dress part will be quite fast. I can do that pretty quickly. Is the knitting part, obviously, that is going to take the longest. So now that I'm pretty set on this color, I need to order the dress quantity, which I have no idea how it's going to be, but I saw a few mohair dress projects on Ravelry, so, and the quantity that they ended up using, so I think I will ballpark it according to those numbers. Let's see. And I mean, if I need some more, I just order more. So yeah, I am excited, a little bit stressed, but it's all fun, right? Yeah, I think that I will try to film the process because I really like to watch these types of videos. I don't think there's a lot of knitting wedding dresses videos out there, but I really like the sewing ones. And I think that if I had more time, then I would do something more elaborate like that. Says she when she wants to knit this whole thing. Anywho, let's see where that goes. I hope it's gonna be good. I'm hopeful. I think that for the top part, at least, I can whip that up pretty quickly, like in a week or even less. I think it's the skirt part that is going to be quite labor intensive. But I think I will make it like a media length, because I don't know if I've talked about this, but our wedding will be very chill. It's going to be like a city hall wedding with probably just close family, maybe a few friends, and then maybe eventually we'll do like a bigger celebration. But yeah, for now which is also a reason that it might be crazy that I'm knitting this dress just for this, but at the same time, like I said before, I think I don't know, I'm seizing the opportunity to have fun with this project. So yeah, let's see how that goes. Other than that, like I said, we took 2 weeks off and we went to 1 week in the mountains, and the other week we spent in, I hope you can't hear my stomach grumbling. I'm a bit hungry. We'll go eat lunch after this. But yeah, we spent also another week in Piemonte, which is like in the north of Tuscany. Because at this time of the year, everyone is on holiday here in Italy. And our first idea was to go in Tuscany with some friends, but then we decided to go a bit more north, where there is way less tourists. So that was very nice, but very, very warm. Yeah, I can't wait for fall. I have other projects planned, maybe a vest slipover situation in the near future, and I think that's it for now in terms of projects. But yeah, I will, I guess, leave you now with some footage of the mountains of Piemonte and other bits and bobs from around here. And I hope that I will see you next time, soon-ish, with some progress on the dress. Let's see. Wish me luck. I hope that you're enjoying whatever it is that you are knitting on. If there's something super exciting that you are working on, it doesn't need to be wedding dress level, but like, I don't know, if you just casted on a new pair of socks and you're super excited about them, let me know in the comments. I always like to know what you're working on. So yeah, and I hope that you are enjoying the rest of the summer if you are in the northern hemisphere. And yeah, have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.